Well, g'day curd nerds. Today I'm making orange and walnut Caerphilly. So orange and walnut Caerphilly is based off of my smoked paprika Caerphilly with the addition of walnuts and orange and Grand Marnier, which is an orange liqueur, and the modifications were given to me by Shauna Illingworth. Now, Shauna sent through these, must have been 6 months ago, just before my back injury, so I've only got around to making it now, but it smelt amazing when I was making it. So if you're looking for a semi-hard cheese that matures in only 3 weeks, then the orange and walnut Caerphilly is the one for you. So, without further ado, let me show you how I made orange and walnut Caerphilly. So firstly, we sanitize our equipment by boiling the stainless steel utensils and cloth in 2 litres or 2 quarts of water for 15 minutes. Then we lay out all of the equipment onto a clean tea towel. Just like this. Now, sanitisation is so important, do not miss these steps. So sanitise your plastic equipment and surfaces with a no-rinse sanitizer. I use Star San, but you can also use Idafor. So measure out the required amount, pop it into the amount of water that you want to use as sanitising liquid. I'm popping my basket there, I've sanitised that, there we go, very nice. Dip it in, let it dry, and I fill up my little squirty bottle with Star San so I get the stuff that I can't dip into the big jug. So I'm just sanitising the base of my press and any other plastic item that may come in contact with the cheese. I'll let those dry. Now the ingredients for orange and walnut Caerphilly are 10 litres or 2.5 gallons of pasteurised unhomogenised cow's milk, 1/8 of a teaspoon of MO30 Mesophilic culture, 1/8 of a teaspoon of calcium chloride diluted in 1/4 cup of non-chlorinated water, 1 teaspoon or 5 millilitres of single strength liquid rennet diluted in 1/4 cup of non-chlorinated water, 2 tablespoons of cheese salt, 150 grams or 1.3 ounces of walnuts, 2 oranges, 2 tablespoons of Grand Marnier or triple sec, any orange liqueur will do, and 1 tablespoon of castor sugar. Now we're going to weigh out the walnuts and roughly chop them or break them up with your fingers. And then we're going to put some foil on a baking tray. And we're going to spread the walnuts out all over them. This is sanitizing this ingredient. We're going to pop them into an oven and bake them at 120 degrees Celsius or 250 Fahrenheit for 10 to 15 minutes. Then we take them out again. Give them a bit of a shake. Allow them to cool a little bit. And then once they've cooled, we're going to peel and winnow as much of the skin off as we can. Now this took me about 10-15 minutes to do this, but I find that the peel actually makes the cheese a little bit bitter. So that's what we need to do. Now we're going to place it back into the oven at the same temperature for another 5 minutes. So 5 minutes later, remove from the oven and allow them to cool. Must have iron hands there. Right, over to the oranges and the other ingredients. So into a large stainless steel bowl, we're going to zest the oranges after we've washed them. So do that as best as you can and make sure there's no pith or the white part, and that gets into the bowl. So once you've done both oranges, add the white sugar so that the zest is covered. So I'm using castor sugar there. And now we're going to put in the orange liqueur and sprinkle that all over. Then we're going to mix it with a sanitized whisk. Very nice indeed. Okay, now we're going to prepare our sink area. I'll put a trivet down. Just taking the last of the sanitised stuff. Just pour the hot water in. That gives a little bit of a boost. You don't need to use as much hot water from the tap. Connect up your precision cooker or whatever you're using to heat the milk. And then add the milk to... Whoa, Nelly, calm down. Add your milk to the pot and heat it to 32 degrees Celsius or 90 Fahrenheit. There we go. Pop the lid on so no beasties get in there. Now we're going to add the calcium chloride to the milk. Give that a good stir. And that's before we start heating the milk. Bit of a whisk just to mix it all up. Then we're going to pop the lid back on again. So just checking the temperature there. Yep, we are at 32 degrees or fairly close to it. Just 90 Fahrenheit. And now we're going to add the culture. There we go. Sprinkle over the surface of the milk. Now leave them to allow them to rehydrate for 5 minutes. So stir them in. Very nice. Then cover and allow to ripen for 30 minutes. So 30 minutes later, just checking the temperature again. Yeah, we're at 32, just a little bit above, but that's fine. Just going to turn my precision cooker down a little bit there. And now we're going to add the rennet while stirring. There we go. So stir for no more than 1 minute. Pop the lid back on, and we're going to allow that to rest and coagulate for 40 minutes. So 40 minutes later, we're going to check for a clean break. Just using the curd knife. Yep, that's nice and firm. So we're now going to cut the curd with the curd cutter. You can use your knife if you don't have one of these harps. Cut the curds into 1.25 centimetre or half-inch cubes. Just done the horizontals there with the curd cutter, and I'm using the curd knife to do the vertical cuts there. Try and make them as even as possible. So then we do the second lot of cuts perpendicular to the first to get our cubes. There we go. Now we're going to allow the curds to rest and heal for 10 minutes. So 10 minutes later, a bit of whey has been expelled from the initial cut, and we're going to stir gently to start with, just to break up those curds. And whilst we're stirring for 40 minutes, we're going to raise the temperature to 33 degrees Celsius or 92 Fahrenheit. It's not a very big temperature jump at all. There we go. Now we're going to stir for the 40 minutes. So 40 minutes later, we can see that the curds are about the size of a peanut, and we're going to let that rest for 5 minutes, just so the curds go down to the bottom of the pot. So I'm just putting a pot underneath because I want to keep the whey. Oh, stop floating. Get my colander lined with a cheesecloth. We're going to need that whey just to add a heat source for cheddaring. There we go, just pour that in there, and then pour all the curds in as well. There we go. So let the curds drain for 5 minutes. There we go. So I'm just going to use that whey later on. I forgot that this step, because I have a precision cooker now, I probably don't need that whey to use as a heat source. I can just use the pot in the water bath. Perfect. Now I did end up making ricotta with that whey later on. It was very delicious. So cut the curds into 5cm or 2-inch slabs and then stack them on top of one another. So just do cuts that distance away, and then I may have some trouble here. We'll see how we go. Yep, there we go. So we cut down the middle as well. It makes it a little bit easier. Then just stack them on top of each other. This helps with the texture of the cheese. This is called cheddaring, and we're going to help release a little bit more whey out of the curd mass. There we go. Just move them around there. There we go. Just took a little bit of water out there to stop it from floating. Now I'm going to wait for 10 minutes. Allow that to drain a little bit. Here we go. 10 minutes later, take the lid off, and then we're going to turn the stack over from top to bottom. So what was on the bottom is now going to be on the top. Just do the best you can. As a home cheese maker, we don't have to be absolutely perfect at cheddaring, but just do the best we can. It does release some whey and makes the cheese a little bit less moist. So we're going to cover and wait another 10 minutes. There we go, 10 minutes on the timer, away we go. So 10 minutes later, we're just going to turn them over again and then wait another 10 minutes. So this is the third turning of the curds. There we go. Pop the lid back on. And timer set. Right, so drain out any excess whey out into the sink. Got all our curds there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to mill the curds into the bigger pot. Just taking a slab there, breaking it into thumbnail size pieces. So once that's all done, just shake out your cheesecloth, because we're going to use that later in the basket. So line your cheesecloth into the basket, and now we're going to salt the cheese. So adding the 2 tablespoons of salt. This is a fine cheese salt. No, it has no iodine in it. And then we're going to mix it into the curds. Mixing. Don't mix too much, just so the salt's just distributed through the curds. That's enough. There we go. Perfect. Now we're going to add the other ingredients. I'm going to add the orange zest mixture and the walnuts. Just getting it all out there using a spatula, and add in the walnuts. I'm breaking them up a little bit more because some bits were quite big, but they're all fully sanitized as my hands were, so we're all good to go there. All the walnuts are in. There we go. Lovely. And hardly any skins, which is fantastic. Stops the cheese from going bitter, as I said before. Just give that a good stir with your hands so they're all mixed through. And I tell you what, the orange odour or fragrance was beautiful at this stage. It was just amazing. Anyway, we're going to add the curds into the cheese basket. Fill that up. Just by hand is fine. As long as they're clean, you don't have anything to worry about. There we go. So now we're going to just get the rest out of the pot there. Don't want to leave any of that goodness behind. Fold the excess cloth over the top and then pop the follower on top.
and then pop it into the cheese press and press at 5 kilograms or 11 pounds for 10 minutes. So with my press, it's a little bit of an estimate. I'm just closing the spring up slightly, so that initial 10 minutes will help consolidate the curd. You don't want the whey to be cloudy when it runs out of the press. So remove the cheese from the press again. Now be very gentle because it's only just consolidated into its shape. So don't forget to salt the top and then flip it over gently. And then salt the other side, just a sprinkle of salt. And then we pop it back into the mould or basket, put the cloth over the top, and then put the follower over the top. So we're going to press at 5 kilograms or 11 pounds for the next 10 minutes as well. Here we go, timer's on. So 10 minutes later, take it out of the press. I'm going to salt both sides again, just slightly. There we go. And again, I'm going to press this time at 10 kilograms or 22 pounds for 20 minutes. And you can see that the rind is consolidating every time we do these little pressings. Out of the basket again, salt once more. Turn it over and we're going to press it at another 10 kilos or 22 pounds for the next 16 hours. Now this is all at room temperature, about 21 degrees Celsius. Is perfect for pressing. So after the 16 hours we're going to pull it out of the basket and reveal its glory. Amazing cheese, there we go. I'm going to pop it on, get rid of that cloth, get that out of the way. Right, pop it on the mat that was previously sanitized. Look at that, doesn't that look amazing? And it smells amazing too. Now unfortunately we can't allow a natural rind on this. So we're going to have to vacuum pack it. So air dry in a ripening box without the lid at 13 degrees Celsius or 55 Fahrenheit at 85 to 90% relative humidity for 1 to 2 days. Turn the cheese twice daily. So it's just going to be touch dry, so a little bit tacky. So the weight before vacuum packing was 1.529 kilograms or 3 pounds 6 ounces. It's a nice weighty cheese. Okay, so when the cheese is touch dry, we're going to vacuum pack it. So I've sealed one end already. Just cut that off, pop the cheese into the bag. There we go. And then we're going to seal the cheese. And this is for the 3 weeks of maturation. So sucking all the air out of it so it doesn't get mouldy. I double seal it just to make sure that the seal doesn't get compromised, but more about that later. And then we're going to place the cheese in the cheese cave at 13 Celsius or 55 Fahrenheit for 3 weeks and turning it several times a week. Now I actually turned it daily every time I walk past the cheese fridge. Make sure you write on it so you don't forget what the cheese is. Anyway, back to Gav.
Much later.
Well, that was probably about an intermediate cheese recipe. All the mucking around up the front, having to sanitize all of the ingredients that went into it. So the orange peel and the walnuts and getting rid of the walnut skins and all that sort of stuff. So much fun. But once I got into the make of the cheese, it was fairly easy. I used a good quality milk, so I didn't have too many troubles. Anyway, what you're probably all waiting for is the taste test. So, with my trusty scissors, I'm going to cut open the bag. And it looks like very recently the seal has been compromised and there's just a tiny little bit of mould growth on the rind of the cheese. It smells amazing. That orange smell just comes through straight away. Whether it's the orange zest or the orange liqueur, I'm not sure. But anyway, we'll just move that out the way. So looking good so far. Like I said, minimal mould. There was hardly any from the vacuum packing. Vacuum packing is the perfect way to mature this cheese, because if I had have used the traditional Caerphilly method, where I continue to wash the rind to thicken it with a simple brine solution, the cheese would have probably come off worse for wear, because the rind itself is not closed because of the walnuts and all that sort of stuff going on there. So there's walnuts protruding through, so you're not going to get that closed rind that you can wash. So vacuum packing, or probably waxing, you could get away with that. You might get a bit of wax stuck on the walnuts and stuff, and it may pull away when you pull the wax off. Vacuum packing is definitely the best way to mature this cheese. So here we go. Moment of the truth. What's she look like inside? Oh, it's a firm cut. There we go. Very nice. Straight through all the bits of walnut. That looks absolutely fantastic. Oh, the smell is to die for. Yeah, that looks really good. There's a little bit of mechanical holes. There's no gas production, which is fantastic, absolutely perfect. So let's cut this into quarters again. Straight in. Nice. All right. So it's slightly crumbly like Caerphilly tends to be. There's a nice big slab there. One of my taste testers has just realised that I have cheese. All right, let's taste. Hopefully it retains some of that salty Caerphilly flavour with a little bit of, nuttiness from the walnuts, and enough talking. It's still a Caerphilly, beautiful, nice, creamy with a little bit of sharpness, and I can taste the Grand Marnier and the orange peel, the orange rind, what's it called? The rind, zest, the zest. That's what I'm looking for. That's nice. And a little bit of walnut, a little bit of crunch. Oh, this is a great cheese. Oh, so good. I could eat this all day. Now, it's not sweet, as you would think. I did put some sugar into the orange zest mix with the Grand Marnier, I use triple sec, which is, I don't know. It's an orange liqueur. It tastes nice. Tastes orangey, so that's what I used. But there's that little subtle sweetness. It offsets the saltiness of the Caerphilly, because the Caerphilly, as you know, was rubbed with salt every time I turned it in the basket. So yeah, a little bit of sweetness to offset that really saltiness, so it kind of mellows it out really well. Let's get into it again. I'm crack-a-lacking today because I don't, this can go on crackers for sure, but goodness me, who'd waste a cracker on this amazing cheese? That is delicious. You're getting the orangey taste. It's not overpowering. It's all still very cheesy. So good. So good. Oh, it's just falling apart because the walnuts. So if you want a nice quick cheese, 3 weeks maturation, made in a day, without too much fuss. The cheddaring process, sometimes it can be a little bit daunting, but hopefully I made it look easy, because it is easy, really. You're just flipping over the slabs of curd to let the whey dry out a little bit more. But the cheese is amazing, great texture. It's got enough flexibility that the flavours do come through. Get a bit of crunch from the walnuts, not a lot of flavour from the walnuts, just a bit of crunch. But you do get the orange undertones coming through, assisting with that very short maturation of the cheese. So, fantastic cheese. Hopefully, you'll take the time to make the orange and walnut Caerphilly. Now, if you're looking for ingredients to make this, I have a fully stocked store over at littlegreenworkshops.com.au. We ship all over the world, and we can send you the ingredients for this cheese if you order them. Come and check it out. Links will be down in the description below. Alrighty, thanks for watching, curd nerds. Now, also, if you want to see this awesome apron that I'm wearing, you can pop over to merch.cheeseman.tv. Anyway, thanks for watching, curd nerds, and I'll see you next time. Well, g'day, curd nerds. Welcome back. Today is a video. Well, g'day, curd. Smoked paprika Caerphilly